Welcome to the LitWits channel. Here's a short biography of Francisco Jimenez, author of The Circuit, Stories from the Life of a Migrant Child. Teachers and homeschool parents, if you're looking for meaningful, hands-on ways to bring the circuit to life for your kids, check out our collection of original, free, creative teaching ideas and resources. You'll find the link in the description below. And now, let's learn about Francisco Jimenez. Born in Jalisco, Mexico in 1943, Francisco's first memories are of life in an adobe hut with a dirt floor, of hauling drinking water from a river and listening to stories told around a fire made of dried cow chips. Hoping for a better life in the U.S., his family made a nighttime illegal border crossing into California and found their way to a labor camp near the strawberry fields of Guadalupe. At first, his only job was to look after his little brother. But by the time he was 6, he was working alongside his parents and older brother, harvesting grapes, strawberries, and cotton as the seasons turned, for months at a time, working 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. His first book, called The Circuit, describes how, in coming to California, his family had dreamt of regular work and stability, but were to experience the harsh realities of itinerant farm labor in an unfamiliar place, full of foreign words and constant upheaval. The boys, and later their 6 siblings, missed the first 2.5 months of school every fall in order to help with the harvest, and of course found themselves struggling to keep up. The language barrier made things particularly difficult. In a first-grade classroom where everyone spoke and read only English, Francisco felt frustrated and isolated. But there was one creature in the room, a striped caterpillar in a big jar beside the window, that was to pull him out of his shyness and help him find his wings. He was familiar with butterflies already. He loved to watch them in the fields and orchards and was fascinated by their movement and beauty. But he wanted to know more, and there was a little book on the counter that explained about monarchs and their life cycles. So as he befriended the caterpillar, he now had incentive to learn to read. Meanwhile, not being able to understand much of what the teacher was saying, he found solace in drawing. Well, one day, his teacher announced that she had entered one of his butterfly drawings in an art contest, and that he had won first place. And as his excited classmates gathered around him and admired his art, he found himself drawn out of his own cocoon. His transformation had begun. And since that day, the butterfly has been a symbol for Francisco of potential and of human development at its fullest. Even though learning in spurts while following the crops through the seasons was a challenge, Francisco loved school all the same. He found that education was something that couldn't be taken from him, no matter what. Whatever I learned in school and on my own, he said, that knowledge went with me, no matter how many times we moved. It was mine, to have and to hold. Well, Francisco's father was eventually no longer able to work. His back was worn out due to years of bending over to pick things like strawberries that grow painfully close to the ground. So Francisco and his brother Roberto supported their family with janitorial work before and after school, and by doing farm labor on weekends. Days were long and there were no breaks, but at least they no longer had to move. And at last they had some stability in their lives, though they lived in constant fear of deportation. Those fears were realized one day when Francisco was in 8th grade, and Border Patrol agents appeared in his classroom and took him into custody. He and his family were sent back to Mexico, but even then, Francisco's American story wasn't over. Months later, they were able to re-enter the U.S. legally thanks to a kind Japanese-American sharecropper who became their sponsor. And from that point forward, Francisco was on a trajectory toward greater education, U.S. citizenship, a career in academia, and a lifetime of deep and meaningful influence. After high school, he received a scholarship to California's Santa Clara University, and then a graduate fellowship at Columbia University in New York. And while there, he began writing about his life and childhood, going on to produce some of the most important works on the experiences of migrant farm workers to be found on bookshelves anywhere. His stories are particularly significant because they tell about migrant life from the perspective of first a child and then a young adult, as he shares his own personal accounts. Francisco was married to Laura, a teacher, in 1968, and went on to become a beloved university professor. He's created an important ethnic studies program, has served in multiple academic capacities, and has won piles of awards and accolades for his work and his writing, including the 2016 John Steinbeck Award, the Carnegie Professor of the Year Award, and the Parents' Choice Award. His work has been adapted for film and for a play, even a graphic novel. And in 2015, a new school was named in honor of his late brother Roberto and him in Santa Maria, California. But Dr. Jimenez is the first to say that he didn't achieve such success alone. One of the most beautiful things about his story is the credit he gives to those from whom he's gathered encouragement, help, and advice along the way. There was his 6th grade teacher, Mr. Lima, who helped him learn English during lunch breaks, and his high school teacher, Mrs. Bell, who had him read Steinbeck's The Grapes of Wrath, a book about another migrant family, as well as the influence of labor leader Cesar Chavez. And of course there was his family. "My mother taught me the value of faith and hope," he once said in an interview. "My father instilled in me the value of hard work and respect for myself and others. My older brother has been like a second father to me and a role model. In turn, Francisco has influenced countless students, farm laborers, and readers." In an author's note at the end of the circuit, he explains why he started writing in the first place and what he hoped to achieve. To record part of his family's history, sure, but more importantly, he writes, to voice the experiences of a large sector of society that has been frequently ignored. "Through my writing, I hope to give readers an insight into the lives of migrant farm workers and their children, whose backbreaking labor of picking fruits and vegetables puts food on our tables. Their courage and struggles, hopes and dreams for a better life for their children and their children's children give meaning to the term American dream. Their story is the American story." And we thank you, Dr. Francisco Jimenez, for sharing their story and yours with us.